Afternoon, ladies and gents, and I hope you're all well. You join me on a pretty moody, misty, atmospheric London day today. Visit to the Tower of London, and it will be my last visit for a while, for quite some time. So this is my last visit, so I've got quite a few bits of filming I want to do and get done. But look at the Shard, look, it's enveloped in mist. Let's take a picture of that. Very nice. So yeah, Tower of London day it is. Hope everyone's well. This is the Bywood Tower, built in circa 1280. A lot of the this bit of the Tower of London was built by King Edward and King Henry III, I believe. But we'll see more about that when we go into the medieval palace. So I'll pause you for now, because there's a hell of a lot of people here, and that's where you'll meet me, in the medieval palace, or where it's a bit clearer. We're now on the opposite side of the Bywood Tower, but up in that room where the public can't go, unfortunately, are some medieval murals, because over here was the Royal Mint that was founded in the tower, and the moneyers would see these murals quite often, and they reminded the moneymakers and people that worked in the mint of the sin of stealing and what would happen to them in hell if they did that. Like the little warning of having your hand chopped off or being executed wasn't enough, that would be your warning. So yeah, this is the bell tower, so called because this is where they ring the curfew bell. When they do the ceremony of the keys and the curfew bell is rung each evening, this is that bell. Medieval palace is over here, so that will be the next port of call. I will pause this one because when we get into the medieval palace, main reason I'm here today is to get the last out of my annual pass, which runs out on Friday. So I'm here today, gonna be my last visit for a good couple of years, because I've seen an awful lot of the tower last year and this. So yeah, that's what we're here for. But another reason is because I want to basically capture areas of the tower for certain bits of filming for my documentaries and things. We're going to have a little series of documentaries coming up on King Edward I, Edward III and King Henry III. Royal tombs and what lies beneath. The royals never laid in their graves resting for particularly long or left alone. They were interfered with much more than you would think, particularly King Edward I, who actually wished to be not left alone when he was dead. But we'll see more of that in my upcoming documentary. Anyway, on to the medieval palace, which is pretty great. You'll enjoy that one. There'll be that's mainly filming for the Edward and Henry documentaries, where with the royal tombs and what lies beneath. I've got those bits filmed already, the tomb bits. So yeah, should be pretty good. What we're going over to here is Traitors Gate. Traitors Gate is obviously famous world round, but world over really. A lot of people came in this one, including Anne Boleyn, and then very much later on her daughter Elizabeth. Elizabeth, when she came in, sat on the steps and refused to move, and said better to stay here than to be taken to a worse place. So yeah, she was you would be scared if you bought in here. It's normally a one-way ticket, this one, but yeah, old canny Elizabeth I, our great survivor, she survived that one and went on to be queen. And when she was to be crowned, all the monarchs would spend the night before their crowning, or a certain time before their crowning, at the tower. And when she left the tower, one of her great speeches were, "Many have been prisoners in this place, but I am raised from a prisoner of this place to a prince of this land. This is a work of God's mercy. This is the Lord's doing, and it is marvellous in our eyes." That "this is the Lord's doing and it is marvellous in our eyes" was an important phrase to Elizabeth I. She said that a few times in her life. First it's recorded is when she was still a prisoner, and she was under a tree at Hatfield House reading a book, and her sister had died and she didn't know. And then when the courtiers or whoever came to her to tell her that her sister was dead and she was no longer a prisoner but now queen, she rose up and said, This is the Lord's doing, and it is marvellous in our eyes. She said the same thing again after the Armada. Here we are. This one here is the Bloody Tower, so called because the princes in the tower were murdered up in that room. So yeah, you're getting a, a good little gist of all the stuff today that we're going to see. And this is the Wakefield Tower. Yeah, so I hope everyone's going to enjoy. As I say, this is Traitors Gate. And St Thomas's Tower above, which is the medieval palace as well. It was built as the royal apartments in the reign of one of the King Edwards and then King Henry III. So it was a very prestigious place, and Traitors Gate didn't exist there then. There was a water gate, and it opened right out onto the river. The embankment that we see through there now didn't exist in those days, and it didn't exist then when Traitors Gate was around, because don't forget the tower had a moat. So every time the River Thames filled up and the tide came in, the moat would fill up. Unfortunately, the person that constructed or dug the moat did it way too deep, and it became the largest open sewer in London. Duke of Wellington had to get rid of that one in his time in the reign of Queen Victoria because it became such a stinking health hazard. But yeah, so there we are. If you came in through Traitors Gate, usually at night time, you'd be dead shit scared. And then you'd be taken, like Anne Boleyn, you'd be taken from here out Traitors Gate to your trial. When you was in the boat, if you're taken up to Westminster Hall where you would usually tried, the axe of the executioner or the guards would be turned away from you. On the way back, if you were found guilty, the axe would be turned towards you. In an age before internet and mass media, that let everyone on the riverbank know that you'd been found guilty and sentenced to death. And then news would spread rather rapidly. So yeah, we're in London's one of London's most historical places. So I hope you're all going to enjoy this. Join me soon for the medieval palace, which is what we're going to be going to see next. You'll see that in some of the upcoming documentaries of the King Edwards. Take care all, see you soon.